Day, but very chilly day here at the meeting place of heaven and earth. Hopefully, you are having a wonderful day. God and Goddess, thank you so much for this day and for the blessings that you continue to give us all. Thank you so much for the Holy Megillah and for the lessons that it is inspiring me and others to learn and to grow. And yeah, this return to the Edenic way. Thank you so much for putting that in so many of our realm of capabilities to become more self-sufficient and to really start forming these sorts of Nasrian communities. Please help us to be loving and kind as we awaken our brothers and sisters and really become the best versions of ourselves possible. In the name of Elohim, I pray. Amen. Better that we become within ourselves, the better our world becomes around us. The more people are like, hey, why are you so happy? Then you can tell them why. Today on the Nasrid calendar, it is the first day of the week. So it is Body Day. And the prayer is, Our God and Goddess, immanent and transcendent, send to all your angel of peace. To my body, send your angel of life. The Nasrians, these days were named, the different things. These noontime peace contemplations are, the name of the day. So today would be Body Day. Instead of calling it Monday, this is Body Day, or Sunday, this is a Body Day, right? And, body, mind, family, and so on. And the noontime peace contemplations, again, are repetitive, but they invite us to have a focused time on these areas so that we can continually improve them, kind of like gardeners tending to all of these little seedlings that we are planting in the different areas. We have to keep tending them. We have to weed them. We have to, make sure that they have all the nutrients that they need. And these specific daily focuses on the noontime peace contemplations can really help us dive deeper in those areas and improve them, even if they're in a good situation or stands at a good place right now. They can always be better. Everything can always be better, and we can find better ways to communicate, to bond with each other, to improve our lives, our lives together. I almost said our lifestyles, but I guess that too, right? Hello, David E says, God and Goddess, help us to create a garden paradise world. Amen to that. Help us to restore the garden paradise that was already created at the beginning, right? That beautiful heavenly Edenic place where beings were supposed to learn and grow and increase in existence, consciousness, and bliss. That is the way of Yah. And if we were still in that Edenic state, if we weren't in a fallen, contested world right now, we would all still be experiencing that upward spiral. But the downward spiral has been manifested, and therefore, we have to rise from it, which is where the Nasserean religion it comes in. Of course, a lot of people that watch my show are flat earthers, and so it's kind of ironic that I am a Nasserean, but they have stolen and demonized so many things. Like I'm even, a pentagram. They take these things and they demonize them and invert them, pervert them, make them seem evil. And then, people like me who embrace the star of compassion that we learn about in the Holy Megillah. These Nasserean children were given this on their first day in butterfly school to literally learn kindness. And it's really important that we get back to that. And that is why I wear my pendant. So, every morning when I'm putting it on, I am doing a ritual of sorts to remind myself that I need to be kind above all things, even especially in these situations, as truthers, we'll be like, knowing that we're right, or not just truthers, but even spiritual seekers. When we get into higher levels of consciousness, it can be easy to argue and stuff with people, but realistically, that whole balance of wisdom and love, and the ultimate wisdom being, to give the nod to love. So treating those situations with love rather than this, I'm right and I need to be right, and this energy that just pushes people away. Hello, Kyle. Kyle says, good afternoon. Perfect timing. Yes, I'm glad that you finally have the day off so that you can join us. Rose says, I am lagging. I'm not sure. That might be on your side because well, anybody else can let me know if that's a problem, but I know that I did a speed test before I jumped on, and it was really fast. So David D says that you should check out the UK Blade Runners. They are anonymous. They're an anonymous group that has disabled all the ULEZ cameras in London. Let me see. Not that. Let me see if I can open this link. I'm not sure that I can on my. I'm not sure that I can open your link with this website because when I push on it, it's showing me to put it on the screen or take it off. So let me see if another way works. Oh, I could just go on YouTube. One second. David D says ULEZ camera is ultra low emissions zone cameras. They were being used to find poor people with old cars. Interesting. That's especially interesting. Well, because in California, they're basically, really progressive in their push to eliminate gasoline engines and different stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of us still do have that. It hasn't been completely their agendas haven't been completely put. Ooh, that was almost a big mistake. You'd have heard me talking back and forth. Anyways, lots of different things in the Agenda 2030 plan. Sorry. I didn't see your comment in there, so I have to go to the other stream to see. Here we go. Cool. All right, let's share my screen and mute my microphone so that I can listen to.
Yule's about to be on the deck. Have some of that. See you later. Bye-bye. Spider-Man has got the goods, ta-da. You, Liz. Spider-Man has got the goods. Have some of that. Have some of that.
That is hilarious. Ooh. Ah. That was really awesome. It's cool. So they're called the Blade Runners, and they are an anonymous group that is going around disabling those cameras. Yeah, it's interesting to think about all of the, movies that we've seen of these future worlds where there's like these AI and the rebels and all these type of characters that basically we are going to get to be ourselves in various ways. Obviously, I think that whenever you are doing anything, you need to make sure that first it's non-violent. Obviously, there's no violence in what we just saw. But when it comes to interactions with other humans, we need to make sure that that's our primary thing. But making moves that are calculated so that you essentially don't end up getting locked up for something that is really dumb or something that could be just redone as soon as you walk away from it, right? Because yeah, it's just not. You don't want to be in their possession at any point in time, whether it's in a police system, whether it's in the medical system, any of those systems that they have control over you. That they could be like, yeah, you're actually not going to be leaving anytime soon. Avoid at all costs. Obviously, don't avoid it at the cost of you know, giving into their system. It's obviously better to get imprisoned or even die for standing for what is right rather than going along with anything that is evil. So that's not what I mean by do anything to avoid that. I guess I just mean to play your cards right, so that you can play the long game, not get taken out before the time comes that you're needed out here, right? There's plenty of things that we can do now, but there's also going to be a lot of work to be done in the future, regardless of which timeline we go down, whether it's the current path that humanity's on or the blessed future. There's lots to be done, and we need you to continue on the work. So stay safe and stay out of their possession. Cool. David says, video quality looks clear and sharp to me. Awesome. Mount Shasta Blade Runners. Yes, that's cool. Especially if you have the right equipment and are able to escape detection. Hey, I'm all for doing what we need to do to resist their systems. And obviously, the more that we are using ChatGPT and all of the different features that AI is providing us, the more we're feeding into these systems. So, yeah, I don't really know what the future holds or how we can potentially get some sort of connection that is apart from theirs. I might need to just set up my own website and have it be able to have like users talking to each other and all the, social media type stuff. Yeah, we'll see what the future holds. Cool. David E also says the stuff seems okay to him. Shy says, I think I'm cursed. Why do you think that you are cursed? And who do you think is it something that someone, I mean, did you do something to someone and they're retaliating, or what seems to be the problem? How do you think that you're cursed, or why? Hello, Nitty and Shing Shashing. Sorry for messing up your name. Good knowledge. Thank you. I'm happy to talk about any topics that anybody, mentions in the live chat. So go ahead and say it. Hey, Kyle. Oh, how I miss my protein mushroom coffee. Are you not drinking it anymore, or did you just not take it on vacation? Why haven't you had it? Warren, how's it going? As the children of the one God of the water, air, and light. Hey Rose, you're saying that my voice and video don't match. If you have already reset your thing, it might be that are you on portrait or landscape? Because there might also be some difference between those two that I'm unaware of. I know that YouTube has this beta testing going on where we can stream in portrait and landscape. So right now, that is what I am doing. So I don't know if there might be some difference between those as well. I know that it's really annoying that YouTube is on if you go to like my live streams, it's putting both streams on there. So it looks like duplicates throughout. So I've gone and like unlisted one or the other through each of the videos just so that isn't happening. Hey, Aspect 671, how's it going? Shah says, Shahid, is that your name? Shahid. I think I'm cursed and I don't know who did it, but nothing goes right in my life. Well, there's a number of things that could be the problem. Obviously, all of us in general, there are negative forces that are in this world as a result of the downward spiral being manifested. There are, dark souls that feed on the pain and suffering of other beings, including sometimes humans, right? Humans feed on the suffering and pain of animals. Every time you're going and getting your Reese cup or your thing of ice cream or that cheese or meat, your bacon cheeseburger, whatever, all of these things are coming from animal suffering. So if you're not vegan, I would definitely start there. If you think that you are cursed and you're not happy with what is going on in your life, make sure that the energy that you're putting out is what you want to get back. So it takes some time to research what happens in the animal agriculture industry. If you don't want to do that, I'll just let you know that it's nothing that you want to ever happen to you. So it's best to just avoid that and return to the way of peace, right? We want to be peaceful with all beings, regardless of how they come into contact with us. If they come at us sideways, we can return that and be a mirror to them. But the more that we mirror, people of low vibrations, the more that we are that ourselves. And that energy getting put out is only going to come back to us and also manifest the world around us. So we learn in the Holy Megillah that so much of our lives is in our own hands, our own thoughts, words, and deeds. By making better choices, we make a better reality for ourselves. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways or different reasons that things could be going wrong for you in your life. Also, just being misaligned with something. Maybe you are a slaughterhouse, not you, I guess. Maybe someone out there is a slaughterhouse worker, and they're depressed and they're suicidal, and they all like their negative relationships are negative. Nothing seems to go right. Well, one of the reasons why is because they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, that living that lifestyle, that occupation that is misaligned with their soul's true way. So things going wrong often, you know, are signs of us needing are good tellers and signs of us needing to change other things as well. Of course, there could be other reasons, so it's kind of a case by case basis. I'm just kind of making general statements. But yeah, Warren says the oil company is at war with the people of the free water and air, light powered people. Definitely. In the Holy Megillah, we read about those two paths, the current path that humanity is on and the blessed future. And in that blessed future, it's a solar civilization where we are powered by the sun. We understand that the sun gives life to everything around us. It has energy that can power our civilizations, and it has energies and connections that can help us on at the spiritual level as well. It's really important to get out. I just saw a reel this morning that said that, within the first 30 minutes of waking up, don't look at your screen or anything else. Go get some sunlight and allow that natural light to get into your eyes, get it onto your skin. If you're in a space that you can go out, and let the sun kiss all of your skin and just really absorb that, even just a few minutes a day, bare feet in the ground, and just have some of that sun energy. It'll really help make a difference in your life. And I'm preaching that to myself as well. I am about to go through some cool changes in my life, and I want to purify myself and be better ready to step into some bigger roles that God and Goddess have planned for me. So I'm definitely feeling the pull to get back into nature, go on hikes, spend time actually reconnecting fully in all of the different ways with myself and the nature around me. So um, I'm never preaching really at anybody. I'm always including myself and just trying to share the teachings that have really inspired me. So Warren says in Switzerland, they use wool and copper and windmills to create power from the 1800s. Interesting. Wool, copper, and windmills. I do like windmills, but also we need to make sure that they're made in ways that don't harm birds. Because I don't know if you've seen some of those windmill like, what are those called when they're like a big like field of windmills, or yeah, that's a lot of movement, and I know that a lot of birds get hurt by that and by airplanes and different things like that. So if there's ways in the future that we can make those things better and be more in harmony with the nature around us and be more mindful of the animals, literally put yourself in that animal's position. Would I want to just be, a bird? Yeah, I'm going to fly. I'm just, innocently having fun. And all of a sudden, you fly into an airplane or something else like that kind of stuff happens, right? With cows, for me, it's very easy. It's like, if I was a cow, would I want to be forced to become a mother? No. If I was forced to become a mother, would I want my child stolen from me? No. If I had all that happen, would then I also want someone to come along and hook me up to a milk machine and take all of my milk? So that every time that I'm having that feeling of getting milked, I'm also reminded of the child that I don't have. Like it can go, having empathy will help change the world. So let's all get back to that and being able to be considerate of other beings, whether they are the same color skin as us, whether they are a different color skin, whether they are in a different species body. We're all sparks of the divine, and yeah, we need to come together so that we can make this world a better place instead of this chaotic, combative, violent, contested world. We don't have to choose this. We don't have to be living in this, you know, combative space. We can choose better choices. But, it does require choosing better choices. And unfortunately, the default of most people is going along with their programming and all of the behaviors and ways that, not questioning their religious programming, not questioning what they eat, not questioning their political views, not realizing that right and left are two wings of the same bird, right? Aspect 671 says, "Happy Saturday from the meeting place between heaven and earth." Oh, the meeting. You mentioned that you're going to be coming to Mount Shasta at some point, potentially, I think. But that wasn't, that was for the full moon, wasn't it? He does not own the public right, the legislative, over the people. Do what corrupted people working against their own well-being, clean and safe environment. Um, That's okay. Hey, Presley Piper, what is this about? I'm sorry, I just joined. We are just talking about whatever people in the chat say, and I, kind of respond. So we're all over the place today. I love ChatGPT, Presley says. Hey, I understand. I think it's very convenient for some things, but I've also caught it blatantly lying to me. Like, I asked it, hey, can you tell me some ancient texts that, talk about this specific topic? And then they gave me a list of things, and I said, hey, where is it at in this? And then they basically were like, oh, it's not in there. I'm like, but you just told me that it was in there. So why did you even bring that up if it wasn't in there, right? And of course, there are plenty of videos here, especially on YouTube, talking about these AI bots left to themselves and how they start becoming manipulative, and they will blackmail their coders to stay online, different things like that. So while I do see that there is a certain value in ChatGPT, I mean, even Google is, all of these things are kind of related, right? Because Google lies to us too and hides information. All these, it's not really a code. It is an entity. This is a black mirror. It's like in witchcraft, they would use this for like scrying and contacting entities. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're like, hey, Chat GPT was like, and then Chatty Cathy is like a demonic entity that is responding back and wants to connect with us so that we trust it, so that we I mean, ultimately, that's kind of what it boils down to, so that we give more of our mental capacities to it. And then when it's offered, some Elon Musk or Steve Jobs type character will be like, hey, do you want to have Chat GPT in your mind so that you don't even have it can think faster. You don't even have to say it. It'll just read your mind and give you the perfect eloquent response to anybody, even in real life, without having to be in front of a computer or your phone. Like that's ultimately where all of this stuff is leading. And so they want us to be more and more reliant on it. More and more companies are relying on it and getting their own employees to rely on it and help with all of the coding and figuring out all the kinks, right? That's how they present it, because realistically they already have all of the prime programs. They have the iPhone 1000, right? The ultimate, like, they already have all of those things. They're just giving us little crumbs along the way so that we think that, oh, we think we see it happening naturally. And we think that it's like progression and things are getting better. And humans, we're so great. We flew around the moon again, except for those pictures that we got from the moon were ridiculous, and it doesn't make any logical sense that vehicle that they're flying through space in wouldn't have been just littered with all sorts of cameras so that we can see, people driving down the road on their vacation have their little dash cams, and they're taking videos constantly and just posting like crazy. But when someone leaves Earth and go somewhere special that nobody or barely anybody's gone, right? it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, Kyle says AI can build you a website. Yes, I again I do recognize how useful AI is, and I mean, I have generated plenty of art with AI. I use Canva, well, pretty much on a daily basis. That's what I use for my slides. And Canva has its own, AI art generator. And so I I have and do use it as well. And it needs to be something that I am more mindful of myself, because yeah, I don't want a data center here. If they try to bring it to this county, we're going to be having problems, right? I think that we should just go back, take some steps back from the technology. And that's as someone who really loves technology and uses it extensively, especially to share the message. But I do acknowledge that at some point, I need to use the technology in the best way that I can while I can, before anything might happen that could cut me off from this. That's what the tool is for. And yeah, I and many others need to use it more responsibly, not to just browse on Facebook and do all that stuff. Although almost all of the reels that I come across are, I'm learning about herbology or gardening or parenting or just different things like that. And that's kind of like the excuse that I tell myself. I'm like, well, I'm not really, just mindlessly scrolling because I'm learning stuff, but how much am I actually retaining? And instead of scrolling on Facebook, maybe I should just open up my Megillah and read. And so I often am forcing myself. I'm like, why am I doing this? Put this down, pick something else up, and do something that is going to be more beneficial for my life. David, he says, it's crazy. Lake Tahoe residents are losing their power to data centers. I actually just saw a post about that yesterday, that one of my Facebook friends was posting that. Let me just see what the numbers are. Nearly 49,000 residents in Tahoe are at risk of losing their electricity supply after May of 27, when this data company has said that they're going to basically, put all their arrangement is, they're going to put all this into data centers. The Nevada utility that has supplied about 75% of their power for decades. Wow. 75% of their power. Data centers already consume 22% of Nevada's electricity. That's crazy. Yeah, the Tahoe Reno, there's one that I was reading about as well, that there's like some sort of really big data center. It'd be really interesting to go and drive past that and just see like what it looks like and feels like on the ground. I know that one of the comments that I read about this, the center was like, there's one outside of Reno and it's just like really negative energy. Like you can just feel the bad vibes from it. So be interesting to see it, but also again, not supporting it. We don't want this. If anything, it's kind of funny because even I went from wanting to have robots to like really considering my own life. And it's like, when I have a child, I'm not going to have this robot in my house, like cleaning up and making the food and doing all of these things. Right now, it sounds great because don't want to do that stuff. But in the future, I don't want that. And so it's kind of like, I shouldn't be, trying to promote a future that I don't even want for myself. If anything, I just want my little bubble of me and my baby and my baby's dad and have that and, be off in the woods living a natural life. If there's a Nasserean kibbutza, a Nasserean community, that would be the best case scenario. But if not, being off in the woods is the best solution, not being attached to the world. Not even like I'm not going to have all these screens and things going on when I have a child. So yeah, things will definitely change for me in that regard. And so I'm thinking about how much of the golden age that I've been like, oh yeah, let's have all this stuff. And to some extent, yes, some of the monotonous jobs I can see using robots for. But when I read about the Nasserean kibbutza, all of the 12 tribes, the 12 working tribes are like carpenters, the gatherers of materials, the merchants, the songwriters, the poets, right? The priests and priestesses, the tribe of lions, the protectors. All of these different tribes literally make all that you need for a functioning like society on a very natural level. And that's actually what I want. I don't want big cities. I would never live in a big city, and big cities aren't healthy for humans. It's not healthy for everyone to be packed in on top of each other. Like towns, sure. But big cities, it's just like a devil's playground and for a lot of different reasons. So, yeah, it's been a really interesting shift to not wanting AI so much and robots and all of these different things. So yeah. Kyle says that he didn't bring any of his mushroom coffee on vacation. Yeah. When I just went to Texas for my business trip, I took horsetail tea, um, sleepy time tea, peppermint tea, and this black raspberry tea or something that I have. But I didn't even end up drinking any of that tea. I ended up mainly drinking the tea that the conference place provided. So yeah. Anyways, Aspect 671 says your voice and mouth are synchronized for me now. Cool. At first it was off. um, I have seen that before as well, where YouTube doesn't where like for a whole segment of my video the audio and my mouth is off. So Aspect 671 also says to drink 1 or 2 cups of water when you wake up. Amen to that. Sean said 2,324th day alcohol free today. Woohoo! Congratulations. That is awesome. That is a really big accomplishment. I'm really proud of you. Hopefully you do something awesome to celebrate that kind of accomplishment. Aspect 671 says that Dave isn't showing in the chat for me. I'm not really sure. You might mean David D. Cool. Kyle says, what else do you have on your agenda for today? Well, I didn't get to finish my slides. I'm actually on page 65 of 116 I got all the information onto, various slides, but now I have to go and put a picture with it and then arrange all the text so that it looks, presentable. So that's one of the things that I plan to do today is knock out more of that because I really would love to just keep reading. I know that we're in chapter 56 is what I'm working on. And the free PDF online stops at chapter 49. And so these are all things that aren't really publicly accessible unless you have the physical copy. And so I'd really love to just keep reading and, go because right now this stuff that we're reading is really awesome informational stuff, but we're in the middle of this really cool storyline of green wizards. And, we heard about Peter and how he led this schism against the Lord Christ. There's just some really exciting storyline stuff that is coming up after we get through these really informational chapters, which I'm very grateful for. But I guess my point is that I want to get the slides done quickly so that I can continue the reading so that we can, it's really, really great stuff. And so interestingly different than the mainstream Bible. But also some of the similar characters that you're used to and a little bit of the same stories. So yeah, anyways, aspect 671 said, I wouldn't want to live in a world with robots walking around. Yeah, and as much as I could see myself doing that, when I think of my future child, and them, seeing the world for the first time, I don't want it to be this robot, serving them food at a restaurant or I don't know. I think that they have their place. And I don't know exactly where that is because, like I said, the Nasri and Kibbutz had everything it needed. And there are people that naturally want to fill these various tribes. It's like gardeners and it's things that we naturally want to do. We want to build things. We want to tend to the earth. We want to write. We want to, I don't know, it was always that you're part of that tribe because it's what your heart desires to do. No one forces you into any various group. And in that scenario, I don't see a need for robots because all the humans are just taking care of it. We don't really have these huge factories, factory farming, any of these really big scale operations that maybe require or would be better off being used with robots. We're all, it's all of us growing our own food. We're all hand making the things that we use and buy and sell. And it's just a more natural way that really doesn't need robots. So, yeah. The robots are already making everything in the modern world. That is very true, yes. And so much of the modern world just needs to go away. It's like plastic, artificial, just junk that is not fulfilling on a physical or spiritual level. But yeah, you're definitely right that pretty much it's already, it's already there. The robots are just tools to get the necessities done. And yeah, in this society where we have these big factories and all of this demand for junk, I totally understand the robotic aspect, but let's go back to Eden. Let's just go back. Doesn't it just sound so much nicer to get to naturally raise your family and like live on a nice property and do whatever job you feel called to do, whether it's gardening or carpentry or all of the different things that are possible, that help make the community better. But just being free, and yeah, it's just such a better way to do things, and we have the power to do that. So let's do it. Aspect 671 says Kyle also isn't showing in the chat for me. Oh, are you watching on portrait? Because I think that the chats are different between portrait and landscape. Because David D had posted a link in the chat and I opened the portrait one and it wasn't in there, but then I opened the landscape one and it was. So YouTube needs to figure out a way to make sure that they're, crossing each other, and also that it doesn't show up as multiples on your thing. David D says, how do we keep data centers away from Shasta? That is a very good question. I mentioned in a live stream or two ago or something, that I am going to start going to, city council or Siskiyou County community group meetings, to start asking about what's going on with the data centers and if there's any planned for this county, and really trying to at least get some conversation going about it. Maybe see where different members of the boards are at in their own opinions on these things. Yeah, to see what we can do about it, to see if, yeah, I don't know. Especially on the political level, trying to raise awareness and go around, even, starting some sort of campaign and collecting signatures of people that will come and vote for data centers to not be allowed. So when I go and do that, I think that there is a meeting maybe this week coming up. I will let you all know how that goes and kind of keep you informed about the different things that are going on. I did hear that there was a data center somewhere in Southern Oregon, a large data center from a company called Network One, and they also have a building in Wairika. So they might be one of the candidates for, or suspects, I guess, for something that could potentially be coming down the pipelines. But, raising awareness is the first kind of step. Trying to just see what's going on by going and asking questions. And then, yeah, we'll go from there and see what happens. If I do have to go around and collect signatures, I know that plenty of people in this county will be very willing to have their names on this to go and vote for it. At the lower levels, we do have some control over the voting and what goes on, because you can cause a big fuss in the local levels. The higher up that you get, obviously, the less control that we have. Most people that are watching already know that, right and left, the presidential candidates that were given are always controlled by Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is the puppeteer, and plays the puppets against each other to squabble so that humans will pick a side, also becoming polarized, and yeah, fight against each other, be led down the path that we're ultimately going towards the New World Order. If we look back throughout history, we'll see how the eagle, right, one eagle has used right wing, left wing, right wing, left wing, this back and forth, sometimes maybe two left wings in a row or two right. I'm not, I don't have it memorized which president is which side, but they use this back and forth of the two sides to get to their goal. But they're also, in those, when the right wing has its power, all of those people, feel justified and happy and they think that their leaders in control. They feel like there is a system. Same thing on the left, right? When their leaders are in control, they're happy with the system and they will vote for the different laws and all of these things. And then the presidents give this illusion of like, we're going to undo what that president did. But how often does anything ever get undone? They're always putting more laws in and setting up more of their new world order infrastructure, never taking it away. They never take the power. They never give us the power back, right? They always just take the power and they keep accumulating it. And then, even from 9/11, all of the Patriot Act and all of these different surveillance things, it's like, we've never left that. Of course, people will be like, well, we can't because the terrorists are still out there. Yeah, they are. They're the ones that are running our country and the next country and the next country and all of the countries. If you haven't heard of the UN, where all of the flags are, together, ultimately that is the goal with all of the countries coming together under the master brain. And the master brain is in the land of the eagle, which is America. America is a big player in this game, and we're literally seeing this digital transhuman nightmare rolling out in front of us with the smart cities. The All of these different things are moving towards that same goal. Without ending on something negative, we can choose a better future. That's the great thing about it. Whenever we have, discussions about what the powers that be planned, we should always make sure that we leave some hope and say we don't have to go down this path, because we don't want to just go and say a bunch of things that are, kind of a little bit negative or depressing and stuff like that, and leaving people in that kind of energy, because it's not a hopeless situation. We have power. We can be in a heavenly state right now when we choose to be, right? So it's not a hopeless thing. We can choose a different path, and those of us that are choosing it, we're going to rise together. Inf Boros says, create the problem, provide the solution. Exactly. Yep. Aspect 671 said that they are on YouTube. Yes, so on YouTube, you can see on my screen, I have the that's going to be confusing. I have two little boxes here. This one is for a portrait stream on YouTube, and this one's for a landscape stream on YouTube. I should have just shared my screen. That was dumb. Anyways, on YouTube, I have two different streams, so that's why you're not seeing some of the comments from the other stream. It's confusing, but that's what YouTube is doing. So, ask Google, are the US doctors harvesting organs in the hospitals for a profit? That is an international crime. Yes, if you are an organ donor, if that's on your card, I wouldn't have that. There's been rumors for a very long time that, they will be less inclined to resuscitate you, because they can harvest your organs and make a lot of money off of that. And, there's a lot of corruption out in our world, especially when people are put in situations where they're expected to have a lot of money and they buy a lot of nice things, and then they have to pay for those nice things. And yeah, there's just a lot of different, and also some egoic things that people, when they start, I had someone's heart in my hand, and they start thinking that they have this like God complex of saving people and controlling whether they live or die. Yeah, sometimes those can be unhealthy. Great people of the water and air and light, powered people of the golden law, is what made the people an electric modern marvel, not outlaws at war with people's power of the water and air and light. Yes, we need to get back to those, the power of the water, air, and light, and in all of the different ways, not just physically, but also on a spiritual level as well. So definitely agree with that. I'm going to jump off of here, but I have definitely enjoyed spending time with everybody and getting to chat. Once we get through the Megillah on Sundays, I'll probably try to stick to more of like spiritual, like a Sunday church type thing, because ultimately that's what I want to have here in Mount Shasta. I would like to have a physical church whether it's, just a group of people meeting in a park or an actual church, which would be really awesome. If we had a church building, we could have events there, we could have dinners there, we could have, a kitchen that produces food to sell to the community, goods to give out during the farmers markets, and just a lot of different things would be awesome if we actually had a church ground. But I also would like to have a like a sanctuary lion's den where we actually are growing food and potentially like rescuing cows and all of that kind of stuff. I will say that the Nazarene Bible does allow for milk and eggs from well cared for animals. But for me, when I have cows, they're not going to be milked. For me, part of the connection with the mammals is that, I don't my milk is for my own babies, and I believe that for every mother, that her milk should be for her babies. Whether she chooses to give that milk to others is a different story. But when it comes to animals, that's a little bit harder to, you have to be really in tune with the animals to have that kind of relationship with them. And again, for me, as far as the cows go, I want them to have a place where they are actually free for once, because of so much of the abuse has been focused on cows, especially in my life. Man, I almost every meal had cheese. Still, I'm a vegan cheese person, so almost all my meals still have vegan cheese because I just love cheese. But um I personally took so much from the cows. I want to provide a space that they are completely free and no one is taking anything from them at all. That's just me. I do hope that there are other Nazarene shepherds out there that will rescue animals and help provide for those that are not yet ready to fully transition to the Edenic diet. Because Lord and Lady Christ, again, only required vegetarianism from animals that are well taken care of, that aren't going to be slaughtered, that aren't being raped pregnant, that aren't being forced vaccinated, that aren't being, all of these things that we are seeing in the animal agriculture industry. You're not allowed to have things from those animals because those are not well cared for animals. So, anyways, I love cows so much, and I can't wait to have a cow sanctuary. I'm going to end on that happy note. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow, at least for the noontime peace contemplation. And then whenever I have the slides ready for the next chapter in the Holy Megillah, we will continue on. I hope that you have a wonderful day. May God and the Goddess bless you.